This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everybody. It's another Thursday here in July of 2026. God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. We are going out on KCYP, The City, 97.7 FM on McAllen Station. We're coming to you from the McAllen Creative Incubator. They had an event here, so maybe we'll be hearing some more music, perhaps not. Anyway, you're going to be hearing the melodious voice of the Otter, hopefully for the next 60 minutes if things go right, okay? We have a technical history with Facebook and the internet in this very building. It's not always friendly to us. So we're going to log into both the Christopher Ott Facebook page, and there we are. Wow, that guy's got a mustache. Can you believe that? All right. Then we'll go into the Bitcoin Otter Facebook page, and hoping for is that we get to see all of those great comments, and make sure that if you want to talk about something, you please do comment on whatever it is you want to. This way, we will have a back and forth conversation that everybody can become a part of. That's what we want here. So we have a lot to discuss today, but what I want to discuss first is our verse of the day, because it's a good one. Okay, I've been looking at this stuff for a long while. So this one is from Colossians, chapter 20, verses 9 and 10. In Christ, all the fullness of the deity lives in bodily form, and you have been given fullness in Christ, who is the head over every power and authority. Thank you for that. And I'll tell you what, when it says that Christ is the head over every power and authority, ladies and gentlemen, for me, wow, that takes away a lot of anxiety. Not that I have a lot, but it takes away any illusion that humans here in this world are the ones that are in control. To one aspect or another, perhaps. Okay, some people get to make some decisions, and they could perhaps mess us up a little bit, but guys, Jesus is in control of everything. It may not seem that it's a good thing, because if I what I would like to say is, so hey, somebody in there. Who do we got? Barry. Sorry, I do with it every 6 months. Trained monkeys or something. I don't know. Just leave the thing the way it is, whichever way you want it. More sun is better, but I don't know why they changed it. Whatever. It's going back. Hopefully it'll go back to where it is. We have more time under the sun, but we'll see. We shall see what happens. Barry says lagging bad on Facebook and YouTube. Wow. I got all the bars on my signal here on the iPad. All the bars from the Wi-Fi. Hopefully it's going to continue. It based on what I'm looking at, it's Facebook, and I'm not surprised one bit. So I've seen a little bit of lagging, and hopefully it will resolve itself. We're pretty much on the same speed as far as both of these channels that I'm looking at. We've got, I think it looks like 3 viewers, then it drops down to 2. Some are dropping off, some are popping back in. So thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. As I said a little bit ago, all right, Barry, thank you. We are never lacking for things to talk about. Today, I think a good subject for us would be, what do we think the boss, Donald Trump, is going to say at, I want to say it's 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, when he talks to us about basic election fraud. I don't know if he's going to be basic about it. It is widespread. It is shot through our whole system. It is almost to the point where I don't know that as the system is, it can be recovered at all. That is my opinion. I don't think that if we pass the SAVE Act, telling people you got to have ID, that things are going to be solved, as our Vice President, J.D. Vance, has said. He said this. Sue, good to see you. By the way, Sue, I tried to tag you using the @ symbol and then your name, and it didn't work. So Facebook is up to its dirty tricks again. You and a lot of others, actually, were unable to be tagged. Anyway, where I'm going with this is I don't believe that the SAVE Act is going to save our election system. I don't believe that for a second. However, when you look at appearances that J.D. Vance, our vice president, has made on various talk shows, you see that he is staking the whole claim on the SAVE Act, meaning he, to some degree or another, said as much as, pass the SAVE Act and you won't hear us talking about elections again. That, to me, is a severely crippled, if not outright retarded viewpoint. Why? Because having someone show up to the polls with an ID is only the very most basic step that would help us secure our elections. The fact that our votes are being stolen, our votes, homeless votes are being multiplied, illegal votes are being multiplied, that all happens through the back door electronically, digitally. So a personalized physical identification doesn't have an effect on those types of fraud. So getting an ID is a start. Making sure people who vote is a start. But if we end it all, and that's it, on a physical ID manner or, viewpoint, we are losing. We are still losing due to systemic and immense fraud. So Sue says, tell me, is that a fake stash? No. This is a vacation stash. I grew it. I grew the whole beard. And then I said, I'm just going to scale back a little bit. So I've just got the 1970s detective look, like Starsky and Hutch. I'm a little old to be jumping over the hood like the Duke boys, Bo and Luke. So I think I'm just going to stick to something like, Starsky and Hutch. So I'll be the Hutch. I think I'll try Hutch. So, my hair is white just about, so might as well be the blonde guy now. But where I'm going with this whole, this election thing is, we are not going far enough. We are not going fast enough to secure the 2026 midterms. If we do, and I don't know that there's any sense of positivity on the fact that we will or will not, more likely will not pass the SAVE Act, then let's say, okay, we'll do this. Let's say we pass it and we do have people going to the polls and actually being turned away because they don't have ID, probably because they're illegal aliens, right? I don't buy the racist comments that black people are not smart enough to get ID. Those are coming from the communists, okay? Racist communists who don't believe that people of a certain skin color have the ability to obtain identification. That to me is outright racist. It is disgusting. And that is who they are, and they love being that way. That being said, let's just say we get everybody coming to the poll that has an identification like they do when they want to buy a pack of cigarettes, buy some beer, pay a bill at a convenience store or something. Whatever they want to do, they need ID, right? Whatever I want to do, I have to have ID. That's just the way life is. So let's say they pass it. The SAVE Act gets passed in its current iteration. Okay. How are we knowing now that as per law, the voting machines that we're going to are not hooked up to the internet? We don't know that. So there's a leak. It's a very severe security breach, right? How do we know that other countries, like they did in all the previous elections that involved connected voting machines, are monitoring our voting system? How is it that people don't understand what kind of a national security issue this is? You know who did understand it about, 10, 15, 20 years ago? You know who understood it very well? Democrats. They understood very, very well that mail-in voting and electronic voting it was rife. Both of those methods are rife with potential fraud. I know this because I've watched the mashup various times, and they have explained with very good articulable facts. Okay. They have articulated this to the nth degree that it is fraught with fraud. Okay. That's just one way of knowing it. So ID, again, I'll backtrack, is one small step. Here's another thing I want to add. I want to add that the United States Postal Service currently, July 2026, and for probably 10 years prior, maybe more, maybe 15 or more, I don't know, has had a proprietary voting system on a proprietary government-backed blockchain. It is not something that would have to be invented. It is not something that would have to be, figured out or tooled up or whatever. It's there. It's been there for a long time. So what does blockchain voting give us? One, security. Okay. That ID that now many can be, how many states have gone into the real ID and all that? And that's a separate rabbit trail. We can argue all day long about the digital ID, and I'm willing to do that at a different time. But what I want to talk about right now, and it looks like a lot of you guys got bounced because I see only one viewer on the Christopher Ott version. They're really, really throttling us back. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again, and hopefully one of these days I'll do it. We're going to have to go out on Rumble, and then we can all watch there. Looks like we have 2 people on the Bitcoin Otter feed and 1 person, which is probably me, on the Facebook feed. If anybody's watching this, after the fact, thank you very much. You're getting the full show. Unfortunately, you won't be able to pipe in and say, hey, let's talk about this, that, or the other. But I'm going to try and keep it interesting because we don't really know what Donald Trump is going to say tonight. Let me throw out a bone, if you will. And this bone is probably a risky one to throw out because it's all conspiracy theory. And it usually doesn't come to fruition. Now, real conspiracy theory, they're right almost all the time. But a hot take or a crazy one like this one probably isn't going to happen. But let's just entertain the thought for a moment that the 2026 midterms are going to be canceled. You may or may not have heard a version of this at some point during the week, the month, whatever you want to, time frame you want to reference. Where does this idea come from? I'm not sure where it started, but I have an idea that they believe that if certain people believe the chance that we're going to have a fully secure election is non-existent, that they're going to cancel it either until it can be locked down or they get the results they want. I don't know. I also have heard that it's the communists want Donald Trump to cancel it because, well, not only will they not lose, but they will be able to blame everything on Trump, which makes sense, right? But when you think about it, according to their perspective, isn't everything already Trump's fault? Hey, Eric, good to see you. Sue says, damn straight that it's disgusting. Anyone who thinks they're superior to anyone else for any reason, especially a biological pigment of their skin, certainly needs to do some deep self-reflection and remove their head out of a certain orifice. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Melanin has nothing to do with intelligence, ladies and gents. And it has nothing to do with the fact that you either have or do not have an ID or your capacity to obtain one or two IDs. So, yeah, it is a racist statement to say that black people or any other person of any other pigment are unable to obtain an ID. That is racist. Anyone who says it is a racist. And you know who usually the racists are? The ones who are talking about racism. And so I'm going to stop talking about it. Now, Sue says, unless, of course, they are murderers, rapists, child molesters, you get the point, and all bets are off. Yeah, we have laws against that, but who follows laws in elections anymore, right? Yeah, the guys who lose. And we have lost. 2020, for example. So where I'm going is right here, right now. The conspiracy theory about a canceled election, I think, is going to fall by the wayside. Do I think that Donald Trump is going to disappoint today? Yes, I do. I don't think we can expect anything monumental, even though, in full Trump fashion, he says it's big, it's big. What he's going to say is maybe big, but not in the way that people think it's going to be. What do I mean by that? I mean, when he says one thing, we have to try and decipher it to figure out what really is going to happen. Why? Because remember, we're in a fifth generational war. And right now, the battle space is very much digital. It's very much political. It's very much narrative warfare. So he can accomplish many things by either creating a narrative, jumping on an already existing narrative, or turning the narrative into the direction he wants it to go. The reason I say all this is to say this. Because Donald Trump says something doesn't mean it's either going to happen or is true. Why do I mean that? Shouldn't he be honest? Yes, he should. In a perfect world, he would be honest. But with all the criminals, all the communists that are out there, if you are completely honest with your tack, with your plan, they're going to do everything in their power to dismantle it ahead of time, because they still have, like rats in a corner, they still have influence and they can still hiss and bite. Okay. I don't know how that influence is. Jody says, WTF is on your lip. I found a caterpillar as I was walking out the door today. So I super glued it. So you might see it wiggle a little bit. I super glued it and painted a little bit of gray on there for him. So he's enjoying himself. I'm enjoying myself. I'm glad you noticed. Oh, that was Eric that said that. And Jody enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it too. We're all enjoying it. Maybe not so much the caterpillar he's glued to my lip, but where I'd say he's having a good time is he's hearing some good conversation, and he doesn't know what he's going to see tonight from our president, leader of the nation. We don't quite know what we're going to hear yet. So as long as narrative warfare is on the table, and it always is when anyone like Donald Trump speaks, in fact, any one of the clowns in the media speaks, they are just parroting their bosses and probably every other media personality wherever they're at, right? So I don't know. I guess some of you guys are getting kicked off. It's not. It's just not sustaining more than 2 viewers, according to what it says on my screen. But that's Facebook, man. And we all know Facebook sucks. I'm sorry you're having difficulty, but this is why we're going to have to move to Rumble. And we're going to have to do it pretty quick, I think. So anyway, with this announcement tonight, and we don't know what he's going to say, of course. We're not in those group meetings at the White House. But I don't expect to hear anything monumental. I certainly don't expect to hear that they're going to cancel the 2026 elections. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to go with it. I hope he takes it as an opportunity to weigh in on the fallacies of election security. Eric says, I live under a rock. Is the president speaking tonight? What time? I want to say it's 7 Central Standard Time and 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So he's going to announce something about election integrity, maybe the SAVE Act, whatever he's going to say. But to just do a little review as to what I was talking about earlier in the show, as we opened up, was the SAVE Act. If we were to be dumb enough to stake all of our claims on the SAVE Act, which I think our Vice President J.D. Vance is willing to do, or at least in the narrative space, he's willing to do, as he said on an interview, hey, give us the SAVE Act and we'll stop talking about fraudulent elections. That to me is off the table, JD. I'm going to keep, as long as they're unsecure, I'm going to keep talking about fraudulent elections. I'm not going to stop. You do you, JD. We the people are going to do us. Okay? So, as I highlighted, there are so many more aspects of fraudulent voting, or, you know, the ways that people can cheat, than just ID at the polling places. We're hooked up to the stinking internet. Nations all over the world are either able to monitor or even alter the results. That's one, right? 2, theft of votes. Okay, I go in with my ID and I vote. These criminals are going to steal the vote, right? And then they're going to maybe even change the vote. So they might even say, you know what? Hey, the Otter, even though this jackass has a Bitcoin Otter partisan, I am partisan, of course, for Trump, show podcast, even though this guy has a podcast, you know, he voted Democrat. Isn't that awesome? No, it's not awesome. It's theft. So how does voter ID stop digital theft? Maybe they can now prove that, all these Trump voters, they had their ID in hand and they voted, but you know what? They voted Democrat. Sorry, guys. How is ID the end of security in the voter fraud realm? It's not. It's not, ladies and gentlemen. So let's not say that the SAVE Act is going to do everything. Some people believe that it's what's called a limited hangout. What do I mean by a limited hangout? A limited hangout is they give us, let's say there's 100 steps to securing elections. They give us step number 1 and say, okay, we're done. All over, everybody. We're secure now. We got the SAVE Act. That's what a limited hangout is. They come in, they camp out with us, they listen to our needs, they listen to what it is we believe should be done, and then they do this much. And if you're not watching, I got my 2 fingers together and they're almost together. Less than an inch. This much they'll accomplish, and then they'll go away. And then when you want to bring it up again, we already did this. We went down this road. We got the SAVE Act done. We did. You know what? You did nothing for us. You did nothing for us. If all we have is the SAVE Act, we don't have secure elections. I'm going to say that right now. And maybe Donald Trump will blast that over the interweb and, you know, even mainstream where dullards are still tuning in. And dullard is a kind term, by the way. Very kind term for a retard. So I'm going to stick to that. Where I'm going with all of this, where do I want to go? I want to go to safe, free elections. What do I mean by free? Anybody who's a U.S. citizen can vote. What do I mean by safe? I mean, we go with something like the blockchain that the United States Postal Service already owns for secure election. Many reasons. Security, here's another one we haven't highlighted yet. Transparency, right? Transparency. We are numbered, ladies and gentlemen, whether we like it or not. The biggest one is the Social Security number. When you register to vote, there's some number involved, okay? And it ties to an ID. We don't necessarily have to see the identification, the actual person, the identity of the person that voted, as long as we know that that person showed that identification, it was duly recorded, and that vote, as it was voted, when that very person voted it, is on a register somewhere where we, the people, can see. I don't give a rat's ass if the friggin' bureaucracy can see it. I don't give a rat's ass if the politicians can see it. They could see this, and I will not take action on that that statement. I'm just so you know, don't worry about it. Even if you're not watching, it's not going to happen. So don't worry about it. But I didn't grab anything anatomically or nothing, but you can see this, right? So I don't care what they want. I want what I want because I'm one of we the people. We the people deserve transparency because we almost never get it. Okay? And the reason why is because they want to steal from us all the time in darkness, behind our backs. Elections are the last thing that should be stolen from us, but it is the most common thing stolen from us since who knows when. Can we point to a solid and fraudulent free election? I don't think we can. I really don't. And as far as what J.D. Vance was saying, he's somewhat on, and I'm not banging up on J.D. Vance, but I'll tell you what, he could have said a lot more in a much better context about elections, because he rode on the coattails of this stupid Democrat communist assertion that fraudulent elections have very, very few instances of actual fraud. That's a lie. That's a downright lie. You tell that to the people in Fulton County, Georgia, when the Republican poll watchers were sent home because of a fictional pipe burst. No pipe burst in that arena. And then as soon as they saw all those schmucks leaving the building, hey, break out the beer and break out those ballots from under the table. And we're going to scan them till we burn up the scanners. And that's exactly what they did. Exactly what they did. Behind everybody's back, they cheated. Right? They cheated, and we know it. I've got a coffee mug, and it says, basically, Joe, you know I won. And on the bottom, it says, signed Donald J. Trump for the 2020 election. Not only did Joe know, if he even knew, besides what was in his diaper at the time, not only did Joe know, we knew. And not just people who voted for Donald Trump. The people who voted for Joe Biden knew. They knew he didn't get 81 million votes. Unless they were complete morons, which I will leave on the table, because they did indeed vote for Joe Biden. Okay? And I don't like to be partisan that way, to say that you got to be an idiot to vote for Joe Biden. I'm sure smart people did it on bad information, or they are actual communists. They actually want to tear down the United States. Okay? So believe me, if I could revive, well, maybe I wouldn't actually do it, but let's just say a revival of, or an iteration or a clone, okay, of Joseph McCarthy, St. Joseph of Wisconsin, came back and served in our Congress. Oh man, I would love that. He was telling us how many communists we had in our government back in the, 50s, 60s? You know what, ladies and gents? He was right. How do I know he was right? Here's one reason I know he was right. They villainized him. They completely decimated him, and they made his name a byword. That's why I use, off-the-cuff terms like St. Joseph of Wisconsin, which I did not invent. I'm piggybacking off of Mike King. But it's very, very fitting. St. Joseph of Wisconsin cared about the United States of America. If he was given more free reign at the time, and if the deep state wasn't undercutting him and his movement at every turn, we would have a much different America right now, because people would have been turned out for their communism and not installed into an office for their communism like AOC and so many more. They show up to a casting call and they're basically placed on the ticket and installed, because the voting fraud is so virulent in places like New York, Maricopa County in Arizona, Fulton County in Georgia, Illinois, California. I could go on. Minnesota. I'll stop. Okay. They choose based on demographics, retardation, communism, many different ways. They choose their candidate, and then they install their candidate, because there's nobody going to win in that district. There's nobody going to win in that polling place. There's nobody going to win in that environment, because it's rigged. It's 100% rigged. Okay? And they know it, and they can do whatever they want. And they do whatever they want. And it's certainly not what we the people want. So what I'm trying to say is this. Among a lot of things I'm trying to say is this. The SAVE Act is one piece, small piece. But if we stop there and we get satisfied, man, we're fools. We're fools. So to reiterate, Eric, if you're still on, yes, President Trump is speaking tonight. And like I said, I don't know where you're at. I know you move around. So it's 8 o'clock Eastern. It happened in JFK. You better believe it, Barry. Well said. It happened in JFK, man. And RFK, right? RFK as well. Got whacked, right? So say what you will about the Kennedys politically, because Joe Kennedy, the dad, also, right? So he got them in there, and JFK was the original one he wanted in. He wanted his older son, but JFK got in, and man, he was a patriot. I don't care if he's a Democrat or a Republican. He's a patriot. The man was a patriot, but he said a few things, did a few things that stepped outside the lines that the deep state, right, the usual suspects, wanted us to go in the direction of communism. And they wanted this all-out war with Russia, okay, who at that time, I can't remember, I think they were Soviets, but the Bolsheviks had overtaken them because they killed the Tsars. And the Bolsheviks are owned by the same people that owned the ass clowns in the U.S. government, right? I'm not talking to myself, I know this, but I don't understand how people don't understand that, because I guess they can't conceive that a system of globalists is actually in play. They can't consider that. That's why they killed him, said Barry. Yes, it is. It is why they killed him. He said he was going to shatter a 3-letter agency into 1,000 pieces. And they whacked him. They whacked him for it. And then his brother was digging in deep on finding out who whacked him, because we all know it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay, Jack Ruby made sure that he shut up, and then they shut up Jack Ruby. Remember, look for this and you'll be very successful in past assassinations. 3 degrees of separation. Okay? Not only could Lee Harvey Oswald tell everybody any more than, hey, I'm the patsy, I didn't do it. But Jack Ruby couldn't say, hey, so-and-so ordered me to whack Lee Harvey Oswald, I'm going to make a deal, because he was gone. And who killed Jack Ruby? We don't know. There's the 3rd degree of separation. Okay? This is where I'm going. And we could talk that way about a very other strong patriot who was a Democrat, Seth Rich. Do you know who Seth Rich was? Seth Rich was the guy who downloaded the entire contents of the DNC server from a laptop, I believe, that John Podesta was running, that Pito Podesta was running the DNC at the time. Seth Rich downloaded it and sent it to Julian Assange at WikiLeaks, right? They whacked Seth Rich. How did they do it? Well, their foot soldiers did it. MS-13 did it. And then those 2 MS-13 members who supposedly robbed Seth Rich but left his phone, his wallet, and his watch, they got whacked the next week. I'm holding on my fingers if you're not watching, but I have the 3 sign, not the Inglorious Bastards version from Tarantino. I'm doing the American version. 3 degrees of separation between the assassin and the actual assassin, or the people that are covering it up, right? So we can even go to the thing at Butler, whatever it was. That guy, he might have popped off a few rounds, that knucklehead, but he was definitely not the guy that they were going to count on to take the money shot. If it was real, we don't even know. Taking a sip of my Java. So, as I can see, man, Facebook is shedding viewers here. Shedding viewers. We are in a little a tunnel, and they're just strangling us. But that's Facebook. That is Facebook. So let me work on that. I might be going on a vacation a little bit. I'll work on that. And vacation, I got to figure out how it is that we're going to stream via Rumble, and I'll do a few test runs and we'll figure it out, and we'll add that, and we'll take off one of the other channels. So to continue on, election security is paramount. Something that a lot of people don't understand, that not only is it paramount, but it has been taken seriously to many different degrees. But let's talk about the degree of an executive order. Executive Order 13848 states that, and let me talk about an interesting thing after I tell you what it states. It states that any foreign national or any foreign government that involves itself or alters or injects itself in any way or form into the United States election process, which happens all the time, guys, because these election machines that we're voting on are hooked up to the internet. Anyway, any foreign nation or foreign individual that messes or meddles with a U.S. election will have their assets frozen here in the U.S. So think about this. When the Chinese begin to steal votes, delete votes, whatever they do, when they start that process, there is another process based on Executive Order 13848, whereby all of their assets, including all the land that they own, because everything's communist in China, right? So you can't be an individual and own privately owned land in the U.S. It's all commie. All that land, especially those that are, ranches here in Texas, right near like military bases. And this is common. Look it up. All of those holdings, be it real estate, financial, stock, whatever it is, as per Executive Order 13848, they are liable to be frozen by we, the people, the United States, our representatives, if such a thing exists here in the U.S. government. Okay? So, our government, at least under Donald Trump, takes election security seriously. Here's the interesting part I alluded to a moment ago. When the brain dead Autopen was in office for 4 years after the 2020 stolen election. Now, are you wondering why Facebook is trying to silence me? Are you wondering why I'm censored? Are you wondering why you get knocked off of the feed every 5 minutes or less? It's because I'm talking about this stuff on a completely criminally owned, 3-letter inspired platform called Fakebook, otherwise known as LifeLog. When it was part of the 3-letter agency project, it was called LifeLog. On the very day that LifeLog ended, Facebook was born. So this is why we're being throttled, because I'm telling you exactly how things are going. And right now it's not good unless something is changed dramatically before the next elections. So what happens is, what's his name? The guy that stole, the commies used him to run, Biden. They stole the 2020 election. They installed Biden with 81 million votes and then installed the auto pen so that anybody nearby a computer in the White House could have done whatever they want with our government. I exaggerate only slightly. So when that nefarious stuff was going on, even then, that Executive Order 13848 was renewed. There were, to my limited knowledge, 2 instances in which the fraudulent Biden administration could have let it die, but didn't. Let that sink in. Why? Why, in my estimation? Because I do believe, and we can, hey, Tammy, how you doing? Why was it renewed? At least twice. Because I think we can say the Patriots are in control. Is the control complete? No, it is not. I don't believe it's complete. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing a lot of this stuff we're doing and speaking about a lot of the things that we're speaking about. So there is a certain measure of control, and I believe it is Patriot. It's our military. Okay, I do sincerely believe that. Ask me any of the questions you want as far as why I believe what I believe, but I believe it, and I am willing to back it up. So When I'm talking about our way of life, when I'm talking about America as we know it, when I'm talking about America the beautiful, God bless America, I mean the way that our founding fathers designed it. I mean the way that I believe God blessed, perhaps above all other nations, for many years. But we have lapsed, ladies and gentlemen. We let the fox in the hen house. That fox can be labeled with many different names. We could call it the Illuminati. We could call it the globalists. We could call it the Khazarian Mafia. That's my favorite. We could call it, and now you're wondering why you're getting kicked off of this show all the time? Because I'm throwing it out there. Hey, Tammy. So many things that you can call this insidious, evil wave of criminal cartels that are in some sort of conglomerate international conspiracy, they were let in. Okay? How many dual citizen politicians do you think we have? I think we have a lot. Oh, and by the way, I don't care what country it is. Even those with the star of Rafan, look that up, Raphan, or some use the M at the end, Rafam. Even with that star of Rafam, okay, even that country, maybe even especially that country, now you don't have to wonder why they're kicking everybody off of the Facebook feed. Anyway, where I'm going with this is this. To shore up our elections, we need a lot more than the SAVE Act. We need a lot more than ID at the poll. We need to make sure that our voting machines are not hooked up to the internet. We need to make sure that our results are transparent and we have a way to look at it. We the people, man. I'm not talking about officials. I'm not talking about officialdom. I'm talking about us, we the people. We go on to an internet, a secure feed, right? Everybody should be able to determine whether their feed is secure. We could use our VPN if we want. Do whatever you want, man. And we log on to an HTTPS or better security blockchain. And we go on the Explorer. The Explorer is a generic term for the results of a blockchain's transactions. And we can see transaction after transaction who voted for what. And we don't, again, it's going to be a numerical system. But somebody's going to be able to tie those numbers to names and or amount of voters in a county or a voting district. There should be a finite amount of voters. Unlike most voting districts in the country, there's no end to them. As far as how many voters from Bangladesh or wherever else they come from are voting in our elections, right? So Barry says, my 5 says she thinks 85%. And Ted Cruz is Canadian. Yes, he is. 85%. Yes. And I think you meant to say wife instead of 5. But I agree with her. 85% have dual citizenship. So where do their loyalties lie is my question. I understand that some people have dual citizenship and it serves them. Great. But you can't serve in our government that way. My opinion. It's great that you can live in this country. You can have allegiance to another. That's fine. You do you, I'll do me. But there should be in no way an example of us being able to point to any, much less 85%, if that's the case, of our so-called representatives that have divided loyalties. And this is why it burns the chaps of those people when Donald Trump or any of us say America first. It doesn't mean we hate other nations. It means that we're putting our nation first. Right? You see, you've got a family of 4 and you see a box of chicken with 4 pieces in it and there's 10 other families. You're the head of household. You're going to feed your family, right? You might run out after other chickens to help other people, but your family comes first, right? I hope. God didn't put you the head of your family not to take care of your family. Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost that. We've lost it. You know, we've got a whole generation of people that are supposedly educated. I use the term institutionalized into thinking that we have to import all kinds of people from all walks of life into our home. Some have even done this. They call it suicidal empathy. There was an American woman that was living in Ireland. She met a foreigner who wasn't even an Irish guy at a Palestinian march. Takes the guy into her house, has a romantic relationship with this guy, who of course is all about Sharia. He whacked her. He bashed her head in. Ladies and gentlemen, these people are self-destructive, and they are willing and able and would relish the opportunity to take America with them. We have to safeguard ourselves from this. The SAVE Act is not enough. And if we listen to people like J.D. Vance tell us that, hey, if the SAVE Act gets passed, we're going to stop talking about it. I'm raising my hand for those that can't see it, and I'm putting it up. JD, talk for yourself, JD. Talk for yourself. I'm not going to shut up about it. Now, Facebook might shut me up, right? Facebook, as they're doing right now, throttling the feed. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get back with you guys next week. We're normally at 200 plus. Once in a while, we've hit 400 or more views per episode. I'm gonna look later. Maybe they're not strangling the not live feed. I don't know, the recorded feed. Maybe they're not strangling it. I don't know. They did us wrong one time and put it into reels instead of a show format. So they have many underhanded things that they're doing. I don't know about YouTube. I don't know if anybody's watching on YouTube. I can't get I can't do three things at once. Although I think, can you see, Joe, if anybody's on YouTube? I think you can with the Restream feed, but I'm not seeing those comments because I'm on just 2 Facebook feeds. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, I should be seeing all of them, but nothing popped up. So we're down to, we go up to 3-4 viewers. And I mean, there were times we had 20 some, and then I started talking about truth, and yeah, they just, you guys just keep getting bumped off. But anyway, if you're watching this in, at a later time, hopefully you can do it. I'm here on YouTube. Okay, cool. I just saw that. Thank you, Barry. So if you're not on Facebook, then I do get the YouTube comments. Thank you. So going back to, we'll round this off in a little bit here. We're going on a little bit more than 10 minutes left. Short time. So whatever it is that our commander-in-chief tells us tonight at either 8 o'clock Eastern time or 7 o'clock Central time, I don't think it's going to be groundbreaking. I don't think they're going to do what conspiracy theorists, and I love being a conspiracy theorist. I am one, but some of them are just out there. Most of them are truth, right? But the one that I'm talking about now, about him canceling the 2026 midterms, I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that the communists won't do it. They'll send out Trans-Tifa. They'll send out whoever they want to send out, right? They've got foot soldiers everywhere, and they pay them very handsomely to commit all sorts of jackassery, right? Like trying to run over federal agents, right? And sometimes they earn more than just a paycheck. They earn a lead quotient, and that is sad, but at the same time, they do earn it. The actions that they take, sort of like murder, earn at least a certain amount, a dosage of lead. So where I'm going with this is, I don't think things are going to be groundbreaking, but I hope we're going to hear him say something different than J.D. Vance said. Because when J.D. Vance tells us that if the SAVE Act is passed and that voter ID is required, he's going to stop talking about voter fraud, then I don't want him to be our next VP. That's for sure. Neither, some not so bright people are talking about him running for president. No. And thus, of course, he is playing the role that he was assigned in this narrative warfare. he might be playing a role. He's maybe perhaps coddling some retarded communists out there that think that, hey, we might just give you the SAVE Act because, well, all the voting machines are hooked up to the internet anyway. And we got buddies in Argentina. We got buddies in China. We got North Korea. We got wherever. And they'll steal the votes from the people that actually put their ID on the counter at the polling place and showed somebody that, hey, I have an ID. I'm going to vote. Those votes, they're not secure. Sure, they were legitimately cast, but who's going to keep them from being stolen or altered for that matter? There's nothing in the SAVE Act that will prevent stolen votes on a digital platform. So there's nothing really that is going to change if the SAVE Act passes. There's still, rampant fraud out there because they're on the internet, guys. And if people are unable to understand how this is a national security event, well, then they don't think, they just watch TV. If you don't think, even if you are a registered communist, okay? First of all, if you're on the communist bandwagon, remember what happens after they take control. They whack you. You are the useful idiot, right? We don't have to go back too far. I'll go back to Mao Zedong, who killed everybody with glasses in villages. He figured that, hey, if you have glasses, you know how to read, and you're slightly intelligent, we're going to whack you. So this is what's going to happen to all these, content creators who are pushing a communist mindset. Once they take control, full control, if they were, and Lord willing, they won't, you're done, man. You know too much. You've gotten a glimpse into the apparatus and they're going to rub you out. Maybe I used the wrong expression. Anyway, what's going to happen is you're going to get what you earned from the people you earned it from. Okay? So as I close out, as I reiterate, Sue says, say hi to Dad. It is me, Dad. It's me. I know I got a little bit extra facial hair, but I'm your son. I'm the guy who lost your tools. Yeah, I'm the guy who had to break in the back door when I lost my keys. It's still me. I took steaks and beer from your fridge. That's me, Dad. It's me. It's your son, Chris, the Otter. It's me. So Eric got a kick out of that. You Googled it. Eric says he speaks at 9 Eastern. Okay. So it's going to be 8:00 Central here for us Texans. It's going to be 9:00 for you all on the East Coast or in Florida or any of those places. So view it if you will. But again, I don't know that anything monumental is going to happen. It'll just be interesting to see what the next step in the narrative warfare is. This battle space that we're all playing in, ladies and gents. When we hear things from the media, we have to disregard them, but we can also try to piece them together with the overarching spectrum of shots fired, if you will, in the narrative warfare space. So we will. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you. I appreciate that. Not that Facebook is going to let me get any more airtime than they absolutely want, or guests on than they absolutely want. But we kind of figured that. So where we're going now, and I'm going to wrap this up. All right, everybody. I know I've how would you say? Intimated that. I'm losing my words here. What I want is this, and it doesn't really matter what I want. It matters what America wants. Security. And I don't mean something totalitarian like the NDAA, okay, or the Patriot Act, or anything bushy like that. The neocons, right? Those evil, evil, evil people. I don't mean anything like that. I mean secure, lock down the ability that we as American people have, of all colors, of all stripes, of all backgrounds, of all economic backgrounds, of all big, tall, short, fat, skinny, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're an American, you get a vote. But we only get one. Let's secure it. Let's make sure it counts. Let's not let anybody in other countries or our own alter our vote, steal it, or change it in any way. Okay? We have to create some form of election security that is transparent. Second step, secure it. First step, secure it. Second step, transparency. I don't trust them as much as I can throw them. I want to be able to see the results, make sure they're repeatedly seen. I can log off my computer, get back on, and the same exact results come on my screen. Not different ones. Remember in the 2020 election, we watched live, the vote count swap from Trump to Biden. So Biden gained votes as Trump lost them, and the equation was perfect. I'm not lying. You can replay it on YouTube. So we need to make sure that we're secure. Is it going to happen? I don't know, guys. I don't know. But unlike J.D. Vance, I'm not going to shut up about it. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Whether you watched, listened, whatever, and even if you didn't, you don't even hear me. God bless America, because we are still the best country in the world. Let us keep our greatness, because rooted in greatness is goodness. The author of goodness is God. May we be godly. May we be blessed by God in heaven, his son, Jesus Christ. And may we and our children, generations after us, have an America that is free and secure for Americans. God bless you. God bless America. Have a great week. The Otter is out.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much.
On 97.7 FM, The City.